evening. I'm calling the meeting to order. Could we do a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember DeWillis?
Here.
Councilmember Dowell?
Here.
Councilmember Marks?
Here.
Councilmember Mosley?
Here.
Councilmember Wilden?
Here.
Vice Mayor Coates? Here. And Mayor Shaw?
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Okay, if you would join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next we have call to the public. The public may address the council on matters directly relating to city business that are not listed on the agenda during the call to the public by submitting a written request to speak form to the city clerk no later than the conclusion of the information reports/updates portion of the agenda. There is a 3-minute time frame per speaker, and all comments shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof, staff, or audience. The mayor may direct a speaker to stop speaking and leave the podium or adjourn the meeting if anyone becomes disorderly or uncivil, makes personal attacks against any person or persons, or if the mayor determines that the speaker is speaking about items that are outside the city's legal authority to act. Okay, I've taken this out of order. If you don't object terribly to that, we'll circle back to the brief summary. Is that all right?
Okay. Yep.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. Sorry about that. I apologize. You'd think I knew how to read by now, but hey, you know, I'm just going to wing it, I guess. First up is Patricia Crow. If you would like to address council, please come forward.
Hello. I haven't done this before. Is it all right to talk about the issues with the touch and goes at the Cottonwood Airport? Okay, thank you. I'm Patricia Crow, and a little more about me is that I live on the Greens, and I lived here 7.5 years, and my daddy worked for Lockheed, and you know, I have a license plate on my car for Luke Air Force Base, and I am pro-airports, pro-local airports. However, I believe that Emery Riddle has totally taken advantage of our small town of Cottonwood. For example, today, the touch and goes this morning were typical of most mornings. The engines and the throttles of these particular training planes are extremely loud. We're seniors, and we live on the Greens and Pine Shadows, and we want to enjoy nature and outdoor activities. And when it's cold, when it's cool in the morning. And Cottonwood has many trails and parks, and we want to enjoy them without nonstop touch and goes in the morning. Today, for 120 minutes, which is an hour and 45 minutes roughly, there was 23 planes, maybe more. And I timed them, and I watched them, and I took video, and I have some of the noise to help you to get an idea what we deal with every day. It 23 times in an hour and 40 minutes. And I probably missed some even, but I can't, enjoy my dog walks or play pickleball or, it's just something that maybe needs to be addressed as far as getting training planes that are not as loud, or maybe flying out at different parts of the airport, or moving some planes to different airports in different cities. Anything that could alleviate some of this would really greatly be appreciated by the citizens of Cottonwood, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Stacy Bray.
Thank you. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Stacy Bray. I have emailed several times regarding the skate park hockey rink. Most recently, I sent one 2 days ago, maybe yesterday. I'm from Verde Valley Skate. We are a 428-member all-inclusive skate organization. You can find us right here at the hockey rink as well as the skate park, different areas in town. We're composed of derby players, 2 leagues, 2 social skate organizations, families, friends, and professionals in the community. I did send out a mass email about the skate park, the hockey rink, just as a reminder that we're still here and the facilities are still not finished. The July of 2024 renovations to the hockey rink are beautiful, thank you, but they're still not finished. In my email, I mentioned the cracks and the surface paint, which are very important. For the sake of time, I won't go into those details. The skate park is 30 years past due on completion in some areas. Again, I won't go into the details on that for the sake of time. There is some miscommunications. I am not sure if there was money in the budget to have the rink repainted for the safety of stopping and maneuverability. I'm just asking that maybe somebody return emails and answer my questions. Mr. Teal actually did, but I still have more unanswered questions. So one, and please somebody could write them or you'll reference these back and communicate with me. Well, first I'd like to tell you that there's some really hazardous things to the skate park. There is a big pit in the Clover Bowl. The drainage cover needs to be fixed. The coping on one of the walls is loose, so when you jump on it by nature, it's wobbly. I want to know, is there money in the budget to fix the rink and the paint? Was there money? Will it be done? Are we waiting for 3 bids to finish the job? Will the skate park ever be finished? Or will we just sit and watch it deteriorate around us? I would love to talk about my passion for skating and tell you what the skating community could do for Cottonwood. Feel free to invite me for a conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me speak my voice.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes call to the public. So we're circling back to the brief summary of current events by mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Okay.
So I have one thing. Council attended the ribbon cutting for the new Eric Boatner Allstate Insurance Agency on Mingus Avenue. This firm is located just west of Candy Lane, adjacent to what some of us knew as the Desert Dancer building. And this is a very cute cottage with lots of great historic architectural features that they are using for their office. And we were really pleased to hear Eric comment on how friendly and welcoming the community has been to them and their business. I also met Glenda, his financial services manager there, and she mentioned that she watches the council meetings online. So I want to give a shout out to people like Glenda and some of the other people that we've talked to that participate in their community by giving of their time to watch and become engaged and informed on city matters. So thank you for that. That's all I had.
Anyone else?
Well, I wanted to mention, I know this has been in the news, but I think it is worth mentioning and recognizing the police department again. On Wednesday, July 23rd, The Arizona Department of Public Safety issued the state's first ever turquoise alert after a 6-year-old girl was taken from Hawaii by her non-custodial parent. Later on July 23rd, the FBI contacted the Cottonwood police with information suggesting the mother and child may be in the Cottonwood area. And Cottonwood officers quickly began developing leads and narrowed down a potential location. And by approximately 1 a.m. on July 24th, officers successfully located the pair at a local women's shelter. The mother was arrested without incident on a nationwide felony warrant related to a custodial interference investigation, and her child was found safe, asleep, and undisturbed, and she is now in the custody of the Arizona Department of Child Safety. All this effort would not have been possible without the issuance of the turquoise alert, and it's just, great collaboration between different law enforcement agencies and urgency on the part of the police department to make the safe recovery of this child. And I congratulate Chief Freudenthal and the Cottonwood Police for their great work.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I have 3 items for this evening. The first one is the Cottonwood Airport Commission will meet tomorrow, August 6th at 6 p.m. right here in the City Council chambers. Then on Wednesday, August 13th at 6 p.m., a presentation on Federal Aviation Regulation Part 150 will be held right here in the City Council chambers again. The presentation will focus on measuring aviation noise and compatible land uses. For those who cannot attend, a virtual option is available via a QR code which is on the city's website. And then the last item is the City of Cottonwood has partnered with Vitalent to host a blood drive on Saturday, August 16th from 9 to 12:30 at the Public Safety Building located at 199 South 6th Street. If you're interested in participating, visit vitalent.org or call Vitalent at 1-877-258-4825 or scan the QR code listed on the flyer posted to the city's Facebook page. This event is open to both staff and the public. And that's all I have for tonight.
You could even win a car.
Well,
So,
great. Thank you. Okay, next is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of July 15th, 2025.
And I'll like to move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, July 15th, 2025.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have 9 different items on the consent agenda. Do you want me to read these? I will. First is Series 18 Craft Distiller Liquor License application submitted by Ryan Whitner Anderson, agent for Caduceus Cellars. Number 2 is Series 18 Craft Distiller Liquor License application submitted by Ryan Whitner Anderson, agent for Merkin Vineyards. Number 3 is Series 10 Beer and Wine Store liquor license application submitted by Tassawar Hussein, agent for Old Town Market. Number 4, resolution number 3345, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, adopting a notice of intent to establish new or increased fees for the Cottonwood Police Department. Number 5, consideration and possible approval of a contract for production services with sound image for Thunder Valley Rally sound productions in an amount of $57,500. Number 6, consideration and possible approval of a waiver of the procurement policy to direct select for the purchase of a crane truck from BTE Inc. for the Utilities Department in an amount not to exceed $208,954. Number 7, consideration and possible approval of a waiver of the city's procurement policy to direct select for marketing and advertising services from Destination IQ in an amount not to exceed $199,500 annually. Number 8, consideration and possible approval of resolution number 3352, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing participation in 2 national opioid settlement agreements and authorizing related actions. 9, consideration and possible approval of job order number 10 with Combs Construction Company, Inc. for library stormwater improvements in an amount not to exceed $379,169. So are there any items that need discussion?
I don't believe so. I did ask if these were in the budget and if they've been approved in the past, so to speak, and they have been, so for the public knowledge.
Okay. Well, hearing no further question, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda as it was read.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving into new business. Our first item is the interview of applicants for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Good evening, Council. Tammy Major, City Clerk. Today, we're asking you to interview 4 applicants for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We currently have 4 vacancies. 2 of the vacancies are the result of the resignation of a commissioner, and 2 of the vacancies are due to term expiring. I have 4 applicants present and ready to be interviewed by council. Kathy Hellman, Beth Kennedy, Bob Rothrock, and Daniel Comella. Mr. Rothrock and Mr. Comella both currently sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission. We had 4 applications. We did run recruitment efforts twice for these seats. We received 4 applicants. And Mr. Rothrock and Mr. Comella both sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they're just asking to be reinstated. And Ms. Hellman and Ms. Kennedy are new applicants. So if you're ready, they're ready to be interviewed. All 4 are present.
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Certainly.
I may have missed it. There were 2 resignations?
One of them was quite a while ago. It was a seat held by Mr. Duvernay.
Okay.
And the other one was the resignation of Mr. Garrison.
So are these 2 partial terms or
No, there is,
one?
one of them is partial and the other 3 are all full terms.
Okay.
The partial term would run till February 28th of 28, so it's almost a full term, but
Okay.
not quite.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that. So when you're ready, in any order you'd like, I didn't list them in any specific order.
Okay, just to make the point, the way that we will do this is the way we have done other interviews. We'll each take a turn asking a question and move down the line and then circle back again. Is that okay? Okay.
And I did provide you all a packet, so you should have those in front of you with the questions for each of the applicants.
Yeah, so we'll just do them successively. That's kind of the weird part of it, but yes. Okay, so, yeah, can we begin with Kathy Hellman, please?
Certainly.
And Councilmember DeWillis, will you start? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor,
Vice Mayor and councilors. I'm ready to answer your questions. Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Why do you want to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I'm trying to figure out who's speaking here on the end. Okay. I just want to get involved in serving in the city of Cottonwood. I've worked for many years for the town of Camp Verde and have lived in Cottonwood since 2000, and I retired recently from working for the town of Camp Verde, and so I have energy and time on my hands to get involved.
Thank you. Second question, what specific,
Thank you.
what specific development experience do you have that qualifies you to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I don't have a lot of experience in architecture or building or planning, but I have a lot of experience working in municipal organizations and helping to vision for the town or the city that I worked for and having the bigger picture and putting it into practice, implementing it for the town or city that I worked for. So that would be more my experience, working with employees. And, you know, when you start a new job any place, you don't know all that you don't know, and there's a lot you don't know, but you learn it as you go. It's kind of like, I think about all that I didn't know about the personnel manual the first time I worked for the town of Camp Verde, but every time I had an issue and had to consult it, I learned more and more. So I look at it as a learning process.
Thank you.
So.
I've got your next and last question. What do you want to accomplish as a planning and zoning commissioner? Sorry.
Well, I would like to see some of the really great work that's being done here in the city of Cottonwood continue. I'm an avid bicyclist, and I've ridden my bike along the Old Town, through Old Town and out to Clarkdale for years, and that strip of road that exited Cottonwood on the way to Clarkdale at Broadway was so bad, and I'm so glad to see it fixed. Also, having the bike lanes along Broadway was a tremendous, I mean, I was riding on it the other day and thinking, I'm so thankful that these bike lanes are here. And so I'd like to see more, you know, continuing to make those kinds of improvements that impact the citizens who live here and use the community every day. So that would be my overall arching goal.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay,
gentlemen.
thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, can I ask you a question? So Tammy. Tammy, which, are all these positions, I know some of the positions on planning and zoning have to have certain requirements or,
All of them are eligible to be on the planning and zoning. They're all citizens of the city of Cottonwood.
they don't have to have any
It's preferred.
planning and zoning experience though? I thought like all of them had to have, except for like one or something like that.
I think preference is given to candidates with like archaeologists or building architects, design, interior design. I think preference is given to those kind of candidates. I didn't mention it, I'm sorry. Hang on. Typically, we put all of our applications through a blind review process. These did not go through the blind review process because we received one applicant for each of the vacant seats. So I do believe that the only, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only real requirement is that they be a citizen of the city of Cottonwood, with preference being given to all of those other.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Mayor, sorry, I apologize, and Council. I'm Scott Ellis, Community Development Director. So we prefer that there is some sort of design development background. We require it for a number of commissioners, but not 100%. All 7 of them have to have that.
Okay, Because when I served, I thought it had to be a certain formula, but if it's just preferred, that's okay.
There is a certain number, we're at that threshold.
Okay.
So we can appoint those that don't quite have that at this time.
Okay, thanks.
And Madam Mayor, Councilmember Dowell, just to add, not to correct, but that level is only two. Only two of them have to have a design-related background. HPC, I think, has a higher, it's more specific for every position.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Beth Kennedy.
I won't be able to see over the monitor. Good evening, I'm Beth Kennedy.
Okay, I'm going to go with the first question, which is, why do you want to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Well, I moved here in 1993, met my husband, raised my family here, own and operate a business. I just think that I have a vested interest in the success of this community based on how long I've lived here.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kennedy, this question may come to a surprise to you, but what specific development experience do you have that qualifies you to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I have been involved in lots of community organizations. I'm also currently on the Verde Valley Fair Board. We do a lot of infrastructure projects. That includes utility work, buildings, facilities, community facilities specifically. We work with the city as far as doing events and things like that there. Personally, I've done several design and build concepts myself. My family is pretty much all involved, family, friends. They're all excavators. And so in 45 years or something with my husband and his family, we've done multiple major excavation things. And so I've kind of absorbed those things along the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What do you want to accomplish as a Planning and Zoning Commissioner?
I would say positive growth, positive and responsible growth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next up is Bob Rothrock.
Good evening. Good evening. Hello, Mr. Rothrock. My first question is, what is question one? Just kidding.
Let's see, why did I want to join the,
Why do you want to
P&Z?
serve? Very good. You get a high score for that. Why do you want to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Well, I've already served almost a term, maybe, or maybe it's been a full term, and I've learned a lot. I've learned that sometimes when a developer comes in and you say, hey, there's a nice sycamore tree here on this lot that you want to develop, and do you think you can save it? And the person says, we'll look into it. And then when I go by to look into it, I find out that the tree's been mangled. And then the next time I drove by, the tree was gone. So it's a learning process. You don't always get what you want.
Thank you.
Guess you're back down here with me.
Oh, sure.
What specific development experience do you have that qualifies you to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Well, I taught school for 30 years, but I don't know if that qualifies me. However, when our home burned down, along with a contractor friend of mine, we rebuilt another home on the same lot down in Old Town, and are pleased to live there now. But as far as specific to planning and zoning, well, maybe not so much. Oh, I found out I did learn another thing, though, that I proposed that we take some of our treated effluent and bring it down to Main Street and let the businesses there use it to plant trees. I kind of like trees, you might be getting my drift. And I was told that we can't do that because SRP won't let us. That was very disappointing. And I wish we could cure that somehow. But haven't learned how to do that yet either.
It was probably APS. SRP, I don't believe it's here. But anyway, what do you want to accomplish as a planning and zoning commissioner?
Well, maybe get some more answers to some of the things that I just posed. I hope that our community can continue to thrive and in a positive way. I live in Old Town, as I mentioned, and things are active down there, but things like cars roaring down Main Street at 2 a.m. in the morning, I wish we could do something about that. And when that comes before the commission, I'll be ready.
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I pass the audition? Appreciate it.
It's a suspenseful moment here, but we'll see. Last, but in no way least, is Mr. Kamala.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff. Thanks for the opportunity to be here again. My name is Daniel Kamala. A little bit about me, I'm a retired fire captain for 32 years. Like Bob, I taught school for 20 years. A little bit of design experience. As part of the fire department, I was on the design and review to build 3 fire stations in the city of Peoria. I've had the honor of serving on the planning and zoning for the last 7 months. So it's been an educational process, which is good. So I learned something new every day, so I feel like now I'm getting my feet wet. I know to ask more pertinent questions, looking for things that fit in the city's plan. The developers can help us do that, and a lot of that is just communication. So I've been a civil servant my whole life, and I live here now. Been here about 2.5 years. My wife and I love the community, and our kids live in the valley, which is perfect. Thank you. But other than that, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
So, Mr. Kamala, I'm going to start with the same question you've heard before. So, and you've already answered part of it, but if you'll humor us, the question is, why do you want to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I mentioned a little bit, 2 of the biggest things is, giving back to the community that you live in. I've done that my whole life. As a firefighter, as a school teacher, involved in the community, that's probably the biggest thing. And then secondly is that it's responsible growth. It fits within the city's plan. It fits in with the surrounding neighborhoods, and just so that folks are following the rules, and it fits our community, and just being responsible about that.
Thank you.
what specific development experience do you have that qualifies you to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
My development experiences is, like I mentioned before, is when I was a union representative for the fire department, I sat on the design review committees to build fire stations. And with that, we had to go to the city of Peoria's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and say, this is what we want to do. We had to figure out the setbacks. Hey, what's this building going to look like? Is it going to fit in the neighborhoods? The old red brick fire stations don't exist anymore, even though they're all cool in my opinion. But, we made them look like part of the community. So if you drove by it, you really didn't know. So that's my development experience on kind of getting involved with that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, sir, I think you've answered this, but we're going to ask it again, just to make sure we cover it. What do you want to accomplish as a planning and zoning commissioner?
The biggest thing is just to make sure that we're responsible, that the city's responsible, and the developer's responsible for, hey, does it fit in the master plan? Does it fit in the zoning ordinances? Does it fit within the law? And is it good for our community?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, these are arduous, aren't they? All right.
That concludes the interviews for tonight, and there's no action that's required at this time. We can bring it back for appointment or reappointment at a future date at council's desire. I will pick up your answer sheets at the end of this meeting. That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If everyone is content with that, we'll save the appointments for another time. So next is review and possible direction to staff regarding the Cottonwood strategic plan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor,
Hi, Ryan.
Council. Ryan Bigelow, Director of Strategic Initiatives. Tonight we're going to give you a draft preview of our strategic plan. Again, I'm going to remind you this is a draft. I know this came out last week. There's a lot of information. Feel free to take some time to digest that. And connect with us after this. We will attempt to come back, take your suggestions and feedback, and come back sometime in September for a final approval, but that doesn't need to happen tonight. So again, draft, still a lot of time for feedback. So we did the strategic planning a little bit differently this time around. I think this is the first time that I can remember strategic planning being very intentional about looking at the future, looking forward, and trying to anticipate what's going to happen. We did that by coming up with, as a staff, primarily an executive staff, talking about strategic assumptions. That means what does the future of Cottonwood look like? What is it going to be in the future? How will those assumptions impact the city? Then, of course, what action can we take as a city to reduce or increase those impacts, whether they're positive or negative? So we came up with a strategic assumption. We talked about the impacts. We had a strategy to resolve or improve those impacts, and then we came up with action items that are more specific to what we want to do with those assumptions. And then, of course, in our best attempt, we tried to do some alignment with the general plan. In your version, you'll see that there's some objectives of the general plan. We know our planning department came up with that plan, 10-year plan, a lot of work into that. We didn't want to let that go, so we tried to tie that in that way. Also, with the first time we were looking forward, but also then with the intention of coming back annually and being able to review some of these assumptions, some of these impacts, some of these action items, and saying, hey, is what we thought was going to happen, is this still happening? Is this still the way that things are moving? So an annual update to this would be preferred moving forward. So the assumptions of 2025 to 2030, so looking out for the next 5 years, that's the primary focus of this document tonight. I will explain that we did go further out, but for today's review, the 11 assumptions that we talked about were the demand for city services will exceed revenue, 40% of the infrastructure will need repair or replacement, We'll have an increased demand for government transparency. We'll have loss of local control over residential zoning, increased demand for healthcare access. The city of Cottonwood will undergo an economic downturn. The city will have a shortage of attainable housing. The city of Cottonwood will experience a reduction in qualified workforce. 90% of the Verde Valley will have broadband access. 10% of city employees will work remotely. And last but not least, Old Town Cottonwood will undergo enhancement efforts. And we made an attempt to prioritize these not only by impacts, but also by what we can control. Healthcare might be a bigger priority or impact, but does the city, as a city, how much control over that do we have? So those are part of our discussions in how we prioritize these. And then in the document, you'll see we attached each one of our assumptions with one of your 5 council strategic pillars. You had a 2-day retreat recently where you came up with these pillars, so we wanted to make sure and implement that into the plan. Your strategic pillars are fiscal optimization, invest in existing assets, collaborate on shared goals, meet residents where they are, and balance a sustainable community with quality of life. So in summary, and I know you probably haven't had time to read every word, but there's a lot going on here. We came up with 11 strategic assumptions for the next 5 years. That led to 71 different impacts, 60 different strategies, and all said and done, we have 179 action items. And beyond 2030, we came up with 22 different assumptions for beyond the next 5 years. So looking even past the next 5 years, looking beyond, we're starting to think that way and starting to create actions for those years too. So not to go over all 179, just want to point out a couple of the highlights here that we're proud of and that we think you guys will be excited about too. Consolidate city services and a centralized city hall, something that's been on our agenda for a while. Finalize and implement commercial business attraction contract. Ensure city priorities are communicated to state and federal representatives. Increase competitive grant engagement. Conduct facility needs assessment and maintenance plan. Complete our water and wastewater master plans. Complete a fire master plan. Really focus and improve our citizen engagement programs, including Citizens Leadership Academy and Police Academy. Some of these things you've already seen, Coffee with the Council and Coffee with the Cop. Collaborate with developers and landowners to identify barriers to development. Engage with healthcare providers. Promote Cottonwood healthcare, what we currently have, and also collaborate with health-related community programs. We're going to update our housing study with an emphasis on incentives. Promote our down payment assistance and critical home repair programs. Apply to participate in the National League of Cities Housing Accelerator Program. Invest in employee morale and development. Market Cottonwood as a remote work destination. Modernize our network and software platforms. Train managers in remote supervision. And partner with the businesses for an Old Town master plan. Of course, that's not nearly all that we're proud of and excited about, but to keep it somewhat short tonight and not go through all 179 and give you a taste of what we're looking at. Those are some of the ones that, as a staff, we wanted to come out with. Also wanted to let you know that during this process, it was not only just executive staff that engaged in this discussion. We did invite other managers and line level employees to talk about each one of these different assumptions and strategies. So organization-wide, we have some buy-in and some thoughts go into this. So that's our first attempt at it. Happy to hear your feedback if you have questions or any discussion on it.
Yeah, I have a few. Yes, I can. I can actually move the chair up a little bit closer too. I wanted to ask Actually, I have too many questions to get into
And,
tonight.
and again, we started with, we have a lot of time to discuss, so if we want to work through the manager or through Sandra Salas too, to have additional discussions, very happy to do that, yep.
Okay. That might be best because there are points that I need clarification on, and so I've highlighted those in
Okay.
my copy of the draft, and I want to get back, circle back to that and take a closer look at it, make sure that I understand the intention or understand the premise of
Right.
certain aspects that I'm not clear on, so.
Absolutely.
So what do you think will work well to, when can we kind of,
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Whitmer here and Sandra Salas here, and we'll come up with a schedule, and we'll get you on the books, and we'll get you going.
that sounds fine.
First question for me is, where's it going to go from here? Like, what are the next steps?
So next steps are, assuming we have an approval, we'll do some outreach. We'll let the community know what our plans are. And then, honestly, a lot of this is underway, but then it becomes my responsibility, I feel like, to really push with departments and let them know what their priorities are, what they've committed to, and let's get moving on some of this stuff. So we do plan to come back. We can come back quarterly to you. We can come back as often as you'd like to have updates on that. The other thing I want to mention is this is the public view of the document. Internally, we'll have assignments to each department who's responsible for these. So the internals, every department will know, hey, this is my responsibility, and I'm supposed to get this one to the finish line. So I'll be working with departments to make sure this thing gets completed.
And that was my second question, who's going to be overseeing this? And it is not a floating document, but a floating document. So you're in charge of it, so you're going to try to pull together the same type, or is it the same people, is the question, I guess.
Yeah, no, the beauty of having everybody involved in the creation of it is that they're already talked about and hopefully have plans for how to implement some of this stuff. So my job will be to make sure that they're committed to the plan and making sure that moves forward. Obviously, we will have a new city manager coming through. We'll want to get input from the new city manager and how that looks like and how that works. But as of right now, my plan is definitely to be pushing this thing forward with all of our departments.
So if I could follow up on Councilmember Wilden's question about next steps, some specific next steps. I recall having had a conversation with staff last year about the strategic plan, and the primary challenge that they faced with the strategic plan was the number of action steps, and it was a bit staggering and not knowing where to begin. And so prioritization was something that was desired. Is that going to be done with these action steps?
Yeah, and with the assumptions, we tried to start with some prioritization. So, and you've seen in the document too that there's probably more that we're doing earlier on in the assumptions and less as we go, because they're a higher priority. Those are things that we would like to take care of. So there's a lot to manage, 179 items, but also every year you come back and do a review, and maybe some of those items after a year are no longer relevant, and that's how some of those get taken care of, because I think traditionally we've just kind of done a copy and paste and move forward without really evaluating, is that an action that's still necessary?
So it will be part of your job and I guess the new city manager to determine what will be done the coming fiscal year. Do the departments have the capacity to work on some of these strategic action items in addition to their regular job? Will that be worked on?
Yes, absolutely. And again, the departments said that they were going to do these things, so with their buy-in and involvement in the process, I believe that they wouldn't have put something in there that they didn't believe that could be done.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'd like to echo what what Vice Mayor Coates mentioned about, the prioritization. I liked how you showed, the highlights of the plan, and that, that strikes me as, some, items that are a priority. Prioritization, I think, helps give me a view of what's important to the city and city staff, and I think it helps city staff understand what's important to the executive staff and to the council. So, priorities that are time-bound as much as possible. And these, understanding that these are goals and things come up, but, the great thing about a living document is, we can always adjust as we go along. From reading through the 179 actions, I like the proposed actions, and many of them can be executed without a great deal of cost to the city, and I like that, and I like the forward look. For me, it's really, how are we going to get what's the most important actions for us? How are we going to get them done, and when are we going to get them done by? And I think it's also important that, as we move forward with this, with the strategic plan, that, we try to tie, as much as we can, agenda items to the strategic plan, that there are certain, different, specific sections of the plan or steps of the plan, when we have an agenda item that relates to it, that it's called out on the agenda. That way, I think, the public can see that, this is a living document for us, and we're, it's our playbook, and we're carrying our playbook with us and using it at all time. And, it also, I think would help, the council kind of, question agenda items that really don't, seem to be relatable to the strategic plan, that just, seems to be operating, as a one-off or within a vacuum. I think this is a great first step in having something that really, guides our vision to the future. That's my feedback.
Thank you. Noted.
Could I ask too, is there a possibility that we can kind of map the priorities in terms of, who's doing what, which department does this fit under, and what are the first steps as we discuss priorities here? How are we going down the line? What is the progression of steps? How do we envision for each of the departments?
Madam Mayor, so are you saying that not only just the number of priorities, but then what the department's actionable steps are to complete the action item, or are you looking for more detail on each action item?
Not necessarily. I'm really just looking for kind of an overall map that this department is pursuing these priorities, and these are the items at the top of that list.
Okay.
In order, and then this is this department's priority list.
I think I understand, Madam Mayor, and the plan internally is to have each department have their own list of items that are pulled out of the document, so they know exactly what they're responsible for.
Right, and so I just want to be able to see that.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of council, like I said, you're seeing the addition that is for public consumption more so than internally. Internally, what we've been going through and what we will continue to go through is we've assigned each one of those action items to a department or departments. And where there's multiple departments that are working on steps to fulfill that action item, we assign one department in particular to head that effort up. And it'll be up to them to pull together these little ad hoc committees to begin putting these things together. The prioritization and many aspects of it will be based upon impacts to the city, both positive or negative. If you've got issues that are out there that could have some serious impacts on us, those are things we want to get on as quickly as possible to begin addressing them. So The addition that we more operationally and for staff and everybody else, we've primarily based upon, it'll list out who the departments are that will oversee each of those action items. And in many cases, it's multiple departments. In some cases, it's all the departments. But we'll assign at least one department to head that up.
Yeah.
And it'll be their responsibility, which makes it relatively easy to kind of monitor and track as we move down the road with it. Also, to Councilmember Mark's suggestion, one of the things that we're looking at doing in the council communication form is putting a box on there that says, is this related to the strategic plan? And which item would that be? Which action item would that be? And we can put it right on the communication form as well. So it'll be right there. So we can makes it much easier to track as we move down the road here.
Yeah. Okay.
I did like what you said, Mr. Bigelow, too, about quarterly reporting, so we can just have a read on how things are progressing.
Happy to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I was impressed how you were able to put assumptions under our council priorities. That was, I think, a gift to us, actually. When I left that strategic retreat, I had kind of wondered what you would do with them, and just am really pleased with what the staff has done. And I was wondering if the council would be interested in a work session to go over this and some of the details.
I personally would like to.
Possibly, yes. Just not real soon, but soon.
Happy to do that also. Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, just to be clear, when would we let the staff take this back and execute on our feedback, or first before we do the work session, or when do you envision doing a work session?
Well, I mean, at this point, I don't know what feedback that you would.
Madam Mayor, members of council, if I may suggest, for those of you that do have comments that already outlined somewhere in writing, if you can submit those to us, we can try and incorporate those into the plan as it is right now. Also take it back, we've got a few minor tweaks that we want to make as well. And then once we have that, sometime I would say, sometime in September, late September, we could potentially come back and have a work session where you can have a full-blown discussion on just the strategic plan, if that works for you guys.
That works for me.
Yeah, I think so, although some of what I want to do really is just to clarify some of the points in this draft that are already there. I want to make sure that I understand the intention and understand where it's going more than I'm concerned about adding to it, and I just have some general questions that I want to address. And a work session would be a good place for that. It really would. I just don't know how soon we'll be able to accomplish that.
Madam Mayor, members of council, to answer that question directly, I would say at one of our Wednesday meetings, you can bring your questions in, and I'll bring Ryan in as well, and we can sit down and you can go through and get clarifications on everything that you have questions on at that point in time, but still have the work session at a later time.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else? Anything further? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank
Good job.
staff and leadership for making this happen. It's been many months in coming, so we've seen it, we've been peripherally involved, and so thank you for bringing it to this point.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, next under new business is resolution number 3334, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, delegating authority to declare official intent on behalf of the city with respect to reimbursement from proceeds of tax-exempt bonds, pursuant to Treasury Regulations, Section 1.150-2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Kirsten Lennon, the Financial Services Director. And tonight, before you, you have Resolution 3334. And if this is adopted, it will allow the city manager or the finance director to declare intent on certain expenses if we would like to then reimburse ourselves for those expenses by issuing bonds. We have done resolutions in the past where it was specific to each individual project. By doing it this way, it will save us time on the staff end to be able to declare the intent internally after the expenses have been spent. So the resolution just basically says that you give either the city manager or myself the authority to declare that intent. And the reason we are asking for this is because we do have several large projects that are coming up that we are thinking we may need to bond and reimburse ourselves for those.
Can you just define those projects for us?
So right now, we have the next item on the agenda, which would be the wastewater treatment plant out on Mingus Avenue. That project is a very large dollar value, and we are not sure that we have enough reserves to cover the full expense. So we would like to declare our intent to be able to reimburse ourselves if we can bond for those funds. And if we were to we just are purchasing a building for a future city hall, we may need to declare intent to reimburse ourselves for that cost of that purchase and any improvements that would need to happen to that building.
Is there any kind of downside to this? Fraud? I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
I would ask the city attorney, since
Since you mentioned fraud, yes, thank you. We'll send that to the attorney.
well, I will state, though, that even if you give us this authority, we still have to bring that bonding back to you to be approved. We can't bond without your approval.
And Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilmember, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that this gives no authority to go out and bond, right? This is just, so there's a form, and the key, I think, is that if you want to reimburse yourself for an expenditure, you have to declare your intent within 60 days of making the expenditure, right? And that's a hard line. And so that's the point of making the delegation, is because otherwise we could get in, this is a good example, over the summer, we have canceled a couple of meetings, and we could get into a situation where we're tight on that 60 days to declare the intent, right? We're going to bond later, there's more time for that, you're going to decide whether or not to do it, but you won't have the option to bond if we haven't declared our intent with the 60 days. So that's what this is. Fraud would definitely have a downside, but this I don't think is going to, materially increase the chance of that, right? What you're doing is you're delegating one of them to sign the paperwork within the 60 days to make sure we've preserved the option to refund.
That just gives us the authority to say we have the intent to reimburse ourselves. That doesn't mean that we actually go and do the bonding.
Creates an option for you in the future.
And then, Madam Mayor, members of council, if I may, in addition to approving the bonding as well, you would also the only way this would come into play, similar to what we're doing right now, is in a situation where we're having a large expenditure for the purchase of a building in this case, or the upgrades to Mingus wastewater treatment plant. So you would also be approving those projects in advance and knowing that expenditure is already taking place, so you'd have a good idea of where we're at prior to the bonding even coming to you for your approval.
And once you declare the intent to bond, is there some statutory requirement that you must issue the bond
No.
within a certain amount of time?
Within
Okay.
a certain amount of time. You have so many months to reimburse yourself for those expenses. So,
But Mayor, Councilmember Marks, if your question is, can you choose not to?
yes.
After you've declared your intent, the answer is yes.
Okay. And so after the intent is declared, what are the next, once, assuming that we approve this, what are the next steps?
So once, if you approve this resolution, and we have a project that we decide we want to declare the intent to bond for, we would do that, and then we would bring back the bonding to you to ask for approval to actually do the bond, and then we would reimburse ourselves for the expenses that we had already paid for out of our reserves.
But Mayor, Councilmember Marks, as far as declaring intent on a particular project, the next steps for you would be nothing. Because the alternative is that we come back to you every single time we make an expenditure. If we want to preserve the ability to refund, we come back to you and you declare your intent. You declare your intent. You're delegating that, so they'll do that paperwork. That question won't come back to you. We'll skip ahead to the question of, well, now that we've got these projects, we've preserved our ability to refund ourselves, do we want to do bonds or not? That's the question that will come to you next.
I'm curious how often this occurs, that the council delegates it. Is it like common practice?
Mayor, Councilmember Dowell, I don't have statistics. This is not a novel, but this is not a novel approach. Cities and towns do it somewhat regularly. I don't know as a percentage of all, I don't know what percentage of cities choose to have the council do it every single time versus, but this is not new. Cities and towns do it around the state regularly, have for many years.
Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't want you to become a statistician over.
Didn't make it up last week, I guess, is the best answer I can give, yeah.
Are you ready for a motion?
I am.
All right. I move to approve Resolution 3334, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city, excuse me, of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, delegating authority to declare official intent on behalf of the city with respect to reimbursement with proceeds of tax-exempt bonds pursuant to, what's the matter? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll start over. Sorry. You hear me, I'm sure. I move to approve Resolution 3334, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, delegating authority to declare official intent on behalf of the city with respect to reimbursement from proceeds of tax-exempt bonds pursuant to Treasury Regulations, Section 1.150-2.
I'll second.
Could we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember DeWillis?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coates?
Yes.
And Mayor Shaw?
Yes,
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
thank you. Number 4 is a public hearing for the Mingus wastewater treatment plant blower and aeration system upgrade project.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So we are asking for a public hearing for the Mingus wastewater treatment plant aeration and blower upgrade process. The reason we have to have a public hearing is because the zoning that we're in is community facility, and they require us to have a public hearing on any projects that we're doing at the plant. So it is a area, and we're just notifying the public that we're doing these upgrades in that area.
Okay. This is open to the public, so if there are comments or questions, anyone has anything that they want to discuss about this, it's possible, it's open. Yes?
Where exactly is this located?
If you could come up to the mic.
Hi, me again. Where exactly is this located?
I can answer that. It is at 1480 West Mingus Avenue. It is right by the Public Works facility. It's Mingus wastewater treatment plant, so it's 1480 West Mingus Avenue.
Okay. Are there other comments or questions? Does council have anything regarding this? I will make the comment that I went through many, many pages of the details of all of this. It was really interesting. I mean, there are a lot of many different aspects to the work that is being proposed, and it is a huge project. It's enormous. So, and I hope it goes pretty quickly, but there's a lot to it. So I appreciate all of the detail, and it makes me sort of nervous, but I guess the people who are doing this sort of work know what they're doing. It's complicated. So, yeah, I don't have anything else to add to this. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Hi, it's going to be me again.
Okay, I'll read this. Number 5 is consideration and possible approval of guaranteed maximum price agreement, number 2, with CARE Civil Corporation for the Mingus Wastewater Treatment Plant Blower and Aeration System Upgrade Project in an amount not to exceed $11,492,422.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, just before we get started here, we happened to find a mistake in that number. The number is actually slightly less than that. It's actually $11,464,843.27.
Thank you for that
Sorry.
clarification. Good to know.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Excuse me, sorry, can you give me that number?
Yeah. You didn't get it? Madam Mayor, members of council, the number is $11,464,843.27.
Okay,
Third time's the charm. Here we go.
here we go.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name's Debbie Breitkreitz, Assistant Director of Utilities. So I'm giving you a presentation on kind of why we're doing this guaranteed maximum price agreement number 2 for the Mingus Wastewater Blower and Aeration Improvement Project. So as you all may know, that the history of the wastewater treatment plant, it was built the beginning of it was built in 1990. And in 2000, they upgraded and expanded it to 1.5 million gallons per day. And we converted it to an activated sludge plant. So obviously, it's been 25 years. And in that 25 years, some things have started to degrade. And the reason for that is some of this is actually original equipment. So if you see the green picture with the green piece of equipment there, that is actually one of the original blowers. So that is over 40 years old. Parts are non-existent.
I've seen that picture before.
Yep. So we need to do upgrades to this plant. The only way to do these upgrades, because we can't stop the flow of wastewater, boy, that would make people mad. So we have to keep it going. In order to do that, we have to complete this project. And a portion of this project is, here, we're going to skip ahead. We're going to overview the project improvements, and then we're going to go back. So we are going to construct a swing basin, or a basin. So if you look up at the picture on your left, at the top in those darker lines up there, that's what we're adding to the basins. So we're basically adding another basin so we can isolate the existing basins and actually perform the work in it. So this is not expanding the capacity of the plant by any means. Basically, we're taking the water from one basin, we're going to move it into that basin so we can go fix that other basin. And then we'll move the water back out of that basin into that. Basically, you're going to do 9 shutdowns to try to move that water around so we can get into every piece of that basin and fix it and upgrade the aeration systems and the blower systems in that system. So we also are going to upgrade the blowers and the blower room. And then we were doing a small project on the plant drain lift station and the non-potable water pump station. So that's the water that we use at the plant. So we use our own effluent for various things at the plant. So we're upgrading that system as well. And then we're going to flip back to how we got here. So we started this project in December of '23. Kier was selected as the construction manager at risk. In '24, we came to you before with GMP1, which was for our long lead items. Thankfully, we have most of those items now, so those are in storage waiting for us to start this project. Part of that was that we were going to come back to you with this GMP number 2, and we've been working with this with Kier since July of 2024. We've had to modify and do numerous negotiations between us and them and our contract engineering firm, Hazen. And so they submitted to it on July, and we're here to have you guys approve it and move along with the project. So once we approve it, I know everybody likes to ask, they should be able to start pretty much right away. And we have an estimated completion date of March of 2027. So with that, I do also have Mike Fawcett, president of Kier, here, if you have questions for him.
Okay. I guess my question is, one of the problems that we've discussed about wastewater treatment, the elements of it, the mechanisms involved, is that they haven't been serviceable. Are these new components going to be more easily serviceable as we move forward? How long are we expecting these upgrades to function?
So I can't give you a time frame on the functioning, but I can tell you that we will be able to maintain them. So that basin that we're creating will essentially be empty most of the time. And when we have to do maintenance, we'll push the water into that basin, and then we'll do maintenance in the other basins. So it's going to be like a extra basin that we can move the water around and actually get in to do maintenance on the equipment and apparatus that we're putting in now. So we've never had that opportunity since 2000. So we don't know what the bottom of anything looks like, but this will allow us to do maintenance on a very regular basis per manufacturer's recommendations on getting in there and doing that, because we're giving us that little expanded extra room so we're able to actually do the maintenance on that project.
What happens to the sludge?
So the sludge that we will find in there, it actually can be disposed of in a landfill. It's not considered toxic by any means, so we will actually do something with it, and we will get rid of it in a landfill. And if you notice in the packet, there will be some additional separate agreements that we're going to come to you with for crack repair, our programming, and our sludge removal that we'll come back to you with as well.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions, was if this is a set price, so if you get to some place where we need more work, you just bring it back to us, I assume. Okay,
Yes.
Second question. Sorry. You mentioned 9 shutdowns. How is that going to affect our residents and our businesses?
It is not going to affect them one bit. We will not require we will not have that plant inoperable or your sewer system inoperable. We will bypass and move everything around in a very strategic way to where we will not have any issues. And I have Mike is going Mike is going to guarantee that for me.
Madam Mayor, members of council, it's actually a real engineering feat to see how this is going to play out, simply because we are moving things around. So when she says 9 shutdowns, it's not a total plant shutdown per se. It's just shutting down portions of the plant while moving sludge and liquid into other areas so we can continue the operation of the plant. So it should not be it's not a total shutdown, just beware of that. And this will allow us to finally be able to do the maintenance that we should have been able to do from the very beginning, but the plant was never designed to allow that to take place. So this should be really, really good. This is not the end of the work at the plant, though. At some time in the future, and that's anybody's guess, it's based upon how fast we grow here, but we will eventually have to expand our treatment capacity to around 2.3 million gallons per day. Our estimate in the last study that we did looked at how much treatment capacity we would need through build out of that plant, or through, not build out of the plant, but through build out of the city. And so we're looking at eventually having to expand that plant, but that's probably 10 to 15 years down the road before that will be needed. Because right now we're treating roughly 1 million gallons per day, and we've got a 1.5 MGD plant. So we've still got 500,000 gallons of capacity for treatment to play with.
And just so you're aware too, we do have a couple other projects at the plant that we do need to complete in the next couple of years. They're not obviously to this scale, but there are some smaller pieces of equipment that need to be replaced.
So I wanted to know, do you have like a ballpark estimate on how much it would cost to do what you were referring to, these additional cracks and other things that you were talking about that need to be addressed?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Whitmer.
We don't have an exact number on it because we don't know exactly how much sludge are in those basins as we speak.
Right.
We just feel fairly confident that the estimate that was made by our CMAR, our construction manager at risk, was more than we anticipated it being. So I would say we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million to $1.5 million, somewhere in that neck of the woods. And that's probably a best guess estimate.
So we've got this blower and aeration system that's being done. We're going to have the cracks and some of the other things done in the not too distant future.
Right.
You mentioned expanding capacity in the future, but I mean, with what we're talking about here and now, this $11 million some project and the crack work, how close are we to having like a new and improved plant? Or are we constantly trying to fix things and get them to where they should be? And
We have done, this will help the aeration in the major portion of the treatment plant. We have done on our tertiary treatment, the sand filters and the clarifiers. We just replaced last year the motors and scraping apparatus in our clarifiers. So other than them being very large cement tanks, there's not much to do with that. Our sand filters, we just replaced the motors, traveling bridges, put some other infrastructure into those. Replaced both of those, so those two apparatus are going. The only kind of two other areas would be our headworks, which is where influent comes in, and that needs an odor control system badly. But that would need an odor control system, a grit removal system, and things like that. And then the other part would be if we were putting another, we are looking at upgrading our centrifuges, but we're actually only going to upgrade a portion of that because we're able to just do the electronics and not, we refurbish the centrifuges themselves. So we're trying to find ways that we can still use the equipment we have and just upgrade it so we get the best value for what we have and we don't have to change it that much. But that's actually on this year's budget as well, and we'll be coming to you with that for the centrifuge.
Madam Mayor, members of council, this project itself includes the sludge removal, the crack repair, and the upgrades to the electrical system. That's part of this project that we're doing right now. With the exception of some of the ancillary things such as the centrifuge and so on, and the headworks, you're going to have pretty much almost a brand new plant sitting out there from the standpoint of its mechanisms and everything there. So you're going to have virtually a brand new plant when we finish this project here.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have two. What fund does this come out of? Does it come out of the general fund, or does it come out of the wastewater fund, right?
All the budget comes from the wastewater.
Okay. And with us replacing it, and this is going to sound silly, but is there like a number that gives us like how much more efficiency will we get out of this, right? Does it, I know we do so many, we can do 1.5 gallons or million gallons a day, right?
Yep.
But does it make us more efficient in other ways to where we're spending less money, like electrical wise and that kind of stuff? I'm just curious.
Our utilities should go down because the equipment that we have here is very inefficient. It's very old. It's and the condition that it's in is not very good. So from a utility standpoint, electrical utility standpoint, our costs should go down. As far as treatment efficiencies, it makes us reliable. That's probably the biggest thing that this does for us, because right now, especially this time of year with the heat factor and everything else, we have a very difficult time maintaining our dissolved oxygen levels in our activated sludge, which is essential for actually being efficient at digesting all the stuff that comes into it, for lack of a better word. So as far as efficiencies in other ways, it makes us very reliable, and that's something that we're on borrowed time right now.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Motion?
Yeah, please.
Okay, mic's on. I move to approve the Fourth Amendment to the CMAR contract with Kier Civil Corporation, accepting guaranteed maximum price number 2 for construction of the Mingus wastewater treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $11,464,843.27.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember DeWillis?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coates?
Yes.
And Mayor Shaw?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Next is council member request for a future agenda item.
Mayor Shaw, we need to read the resolutions that were approved by title only.
Okay. Resolution number 3345, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, adopting a notice of intent to establish new or increased fees for the Cottonwood Police Department. The next resolution was under new business, resolution number 3334, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, delegating authority to declare official intent on behalf of the city with respect to reimbursement from proceeds of tax-exempt bonds pursuant to Treasury regulations, Section 1.150-2. Oh, you want that one too? Okay, sorry. Under the consent agenda was number 8, consideration and possible approval of resolution number 3352, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing participation in 2 national opioid settlement agreements and authorizing related actions. Okay, next is council member request for future agenda item.
I don't really have a new one. I just want to follow up on the request we had for this facility. You were going to come brief us on that. I know you got a lot on your plate. I'm just
I will be bringing that here in September for you.
One of the things that may or may not need to be an agenda item, but that I would like to discuss in council is the possibility of doing, I'm kind of thinking in October, so this is an alert. But other cities and towns have been doing state of the town or state of the city presentations, and I would like for Cottonwood to do that as well. I've discussed that, kind of cursorily with Christian Oliva Del Rio at times, but it would involve putting things, getting the departments to contribute to a larger presentation. And we can do that in some manner that is, that we find suitable for the city of Cottonwood. But it's partly that, what are the details of that you would like to see? And that's why I would like to bring it up in council.
Madam Mayor, members of council, we actually have that on our list to arrange sometime in the late fall, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking October sounds good.
Yeah, we were waiting for the new city manager to come on board before we did this, but yes, that's on our schedule, actually.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is the claims for August 5th, 2025.
I move to approve the claims report for August 5th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
And we need to talk to you real quickly.